Next up, we're going to get into the task pane. We're going to focus in on the task pane. We have a short amount of time, so I'm going to try to get in a fair amount. It's meant to give you an exposure to what is available via the task pane in CAD. I do want to give a couple plugs as we get further into it to point out where you can find some more information about this. So I've already introduced myself earlier, Chris Fabri, your customer advocate. Something personal about myself, somebody mentioned volleyball earlier. I play volleyball once a week, every Thursday, outdoors, year-round in New Hampshire. Been doing that for over a decade now. A lot of fun. Good group of people. All right, so first off, we're going to start off with the evolution of the CAD task pane. So this has evolved quite a bit over the years. When Adept was first created, the focus was really on version control initially, and then we got in version control and security. And we, very shortly after, added the ability to extract attributed information from the title blocks of the drawing format. And then years later, we introduced an integration inside the CAD application. But it was tied to the desktop application. That desktop client was what spoke to the task pane integration, or vice versa, I should say. So somebody in the task pane would request a document, the request would go to the desktop would go to the Adept server, the server to the, and so on and so on. A few too many steps. And really the performance that you folks wanted, and we wanted, was not going to keep going in that direction. We couldn't wring any more performance out of it. So we ended up just now freeing it from the integration of with the desktop, and now it speaks directly to web services. So I'd like to hear from you folks first. How many of you are using the Adept task pane in Adept 2018? Okay. All right, how many of you are using the Adept task pane in prior versions? All right, very good. We're going to talk about some reasons why you might want to look a little deeper into it. So first off, I want to hit on the risk of not using it. And I've actually had two people come up and talk with me today, well, one yesterday and one today, about the dangers of not using it. And one of the big ones is losing connection to your designs. Whether they're X references or whether they're parts and assemblies and sub-assemblies and drawings, it's very, very easy for somebody that's not using a task pane to go and create things that are pointing to a drawing over here on my D drive, and I've got a couple parts stored over here on my C drive, and on the J drive is where I keep all my special parts. That is going to be a recipe for disaster long term. Other people that try to look at these designs or even just simply view them are viewing incomplete information. Oh, sorry if there was a question. So typically what ends up happening when somebody does this is somebody ends up having to reopen the design, reconnect things up, and repackage and deliver. And that's a lot of extra work. And time is really wasted by everybody involved. So Ryan, I'm using one of your comments. Searching is what I probably like the most about the task pane. This is pretty common among the task pane users. Being able to be right inside of the CAD application and find what I'm looking for right away. Not having to go somewhere else, check out, go somewhere else, open up, finish, close, back and forth. That back and forth is a lot of time. Also, tomorrow you're going to be able to hear from Ryan, who's going to be able to talk a little bit more about why it's important to him specifically. The other items that I've got listed here, an awareness of the file status. When users go and somebody goes and grabs the design to work on it, if they don't realize that it's currently in review or they don't realize that something's happening with it, it's very easy to have two people trying to work on copies and not knowing who has what. And then the last one is just that quick, easy access to vaulted documents. When you go and grab something, you know it's the latest version. It was in the vault, it's the latest version. So that's just peace of mind more than anything. So earlier I talked about the task pane when Todd and I were up here. And we even alluded to they're a little bit different in AutoCAD than SolidWorks, than Inventor. Almost everything is the same. These are all the things that are common. I'm going to show you the unique things in a little bit. They're very, very small differences between them. But the biggest items are just the ability to have everything resizable and configurable by you. And I'll show you an example of that. I'm actually seeing a lot of people will open up the task pane and stretch it out nice and wide and drag and drop it or put it on their screen or their monitor on the opposite side of their CAD. So as they're working, grab this, put it in here. I can do my work, check it in from here so they can see everything at the same time, which is kind of nice. So this is the task pane, and we're going to take a look at this initially in SOLIDWORKS 2019, which is now supported, as we mentioned earlier. And another key note, that's both the integration and the ability to view the SOLIDWORKS 2019 file formats. So, bless you. At the top here, we've got a ribbon menu. These are available by pull down. You can pick on them to open them up. You'll also notice there's a little down arrow in the corner there. If you want them to stay up all the time, you can click on that and they just stay right on screen. And this one I want to point out, this is the options. In SOLIDWORKS 2019, you'll notice that the virtual library location is in a different path. And this is where it's set. And the reason I point this out is if you were using the older integration, the desktop has a different location. So this is very important when you're first rolling it out to know that's where the virtual library is. How many people are unfamiliar with what the virtual library is? All right, very quickly, the virtual library, when I check out a top-level design like a SOLIDWORKS assembly, all the parts, Adept takes them for me, brings them down to my virtual library, a local folder on my local hard drive. So now as I'm moving around in SOLIDWORKS or Inventor or AutoCAD, all the references are all local. I didn't have to check them out. Somebody else could be working on those, but I need to see them all locally in my design. So this enables you to go in and configure where that virtual library is. For those of you that work on really large CAD file designs, this location is very important. Also, we've got the ability to, as I mentioned, configure the windows that you're seeing on the right-hand side here. These are some settings that are specific to SOLIDWORKS. So for those that are interested in that part, then we'll show that afterwards. So workflow commands, collaboration commands, also the ability to go and create new files. In here, I can right-click on any of these and turn them on or off. So my favorites I can leave up. The other ones that I don't use that often, I can take away. Cut down on the clutter, get more out of this. Same thing goes for the bottom area. So here I've decided I like using certain fields like the children. I can turn them on or off, or the thumbnail on or off as I see fit. Also involved with Adept is the right-click or in-context menu. When you right-click on a file, you've got a whole set of commands. Check out, check in, view the document, view the data card, assign, unassign, rename, add to favorites, refresh my page. These are only available on the right-click. We're not repeating commands in the menus as well, so you're not looking in two places for a command. It's either on the right-click or it's in the menus up above. And in this case, I've got some good news about the F5 is now being fixed and is working very well to refresh your pages. So in SOLIDWORKS, this is one of the unique things. There's a double icon in the top left, and it's an expanded view. I call it my thin and fat look. I can very quickly see one size and then an expanded view, or manually, I can drag it out and size it any way I want. Also, you can grab any of those areas down below and drag that higher. If you want to see more children, you can drag that bottom pane up as well. All right. In AutoCAD, it looks very similar. So if anybody has to use multiple CAD applications, they don't have to learn multiple integrations. This too has the same configurability, but this one's unique. It also, in AutoCAD, has the ability to use transparency. Perhaps I do have it set up on my screen on the left or right over my CAD drawing. I can set it up so it gets transparent. It'll actually fade out And then anytime I hover over it, it'll solidify. Again, I want to stress this one is unique to AutoCAD. So let's talk about the unique items. The first couple ones are that SolidWorks, the expand and restore. In Inventor, the right click is where you show or hide the task pane. Earlier, Todd talked a little bit about performance, and I want to hit on some of this. So Joe had done some really nice performance tests, and using just a group of 52 files in a local work area, he opened up the top assembly, and these are some of the results for some of those actions. And as you can see, the task pane in blue is the one that was attached to the Adept desktop. The orange is now the one that's attached to web services. We've gained a fair amount of speed on all of those actions. And here are a couple others in regards to a higher latency. So the first one that I showed was almost no latency, and this one is higher latency. Who's familiar with what latency is? Okay. In a nutshell, I had Todd had given me a great explanation. Think of latency as an echo. If I'm looking out the window and there's a building 10 feet in front of me and I yell hello and it comes back quickly, low latency. If it's way far away across the street, a little more latency. It takes a little longer to come back. So we did tests on both of those environments. And we actually found that in the higher latency environment, your performance is actually faster with the web-based applications, the desktop and the web client. So a couple key things that I wanted everybody to kind of walk away with. One of them is that the task pane really can save you a lot of time and energy. I know the older task panes, for years back, a lot of people turned them off. They felt the performance was too slow. And so they decided they would do it manually. They would go and get the files, check them all out, do their work, and then check them all back in. We even created some additions to the product to be able to handle recognizing if a file was updated or not for that very reason, because people did kind of skirt the system a little bit. But the task pane now is a lot faster, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Also, the idea of using the task pane really does keep everybody on the same page. If I'm using the task pane and I check something out and I do a change to it and check it back in, everybody's able to see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. If I check out a couple of drawings from the desktop, they know I've got it checked out, but they have no idea where it is in that process, if I'm still using it or what. And then the last one I really want to stress, the new task pane is not the old task pane, and we added stuff to it. The new task pane is new. We did create it from the beginning, and we are looking at adding more and more features to the task pane. Some of the new ones that we've just added, we mentioned earlier, the ability to use the auto name, the required fields, so those are all now available via the task pane. For anybody that has signed up, Joe has a Adept integrations in CAD, insights into the new task pane experience. So he's going to be doing that on Thursday at 8:30. All right, I'm going to leave it open now for questions. Any questions? We got through that pretty quick.
Yeah, Miles Ivaska again, Evoke Water Technologies. Has the file filtering been fixed in the task pane for 2019?
File filtering?
Yes, to be able to filter simply DWGs or Inventor files, that type of thing in the task pane?
Joe, we had that before. We don't now, do we?
Define fix. We got Joe a microphone.
It's right. Yeah, it's.
In the old task pane, it hasn't made it into the new one yet. But we are working to add that in.
Okay.
One of the things from changing from using the desktop client to using the web services, kind of the world got moved around a bit. And some of the web calls, the API calls that we used to use are not in the web client yet, so we're in that migration stage and upgrading. But it's not there in 2019.
Okay. And then one more question. So I understand that using the task pane for relationship files in Venn or SolidWorks, stuff like that, the advantage there. But what would your case be for AutoCAD files that have no XREFs or anything like that? What's the advantage except for possibly the latency thing that you just mentioned?
Very good question. That's probably one of the few exceptions where it actually is very easy to maintain. If you only have a single DWG and there's no X references, yeah, it works very, very easily. In fact, you could use the creator license because the creator license could check out a DWG. It can check it back in, and one of the options when you download is the ability for it to extract the attributed information as well through creator. So very, very easy solution for that one.
Can I just add to that, Chris?
Yeah.
I would say the one benefit to that, you have no XREFs. Your engineer is never leaving the CAD program. Everything's done. You're not switching between two applications. Everything's done right there without ever having to leave it.
It is a benefit. Yep, they see it all right there all the time. Don, behind you?
Are they doing anything with MicroStation? No, I'm just playing. Give him Joe. That was for Joe.
Just for Joe.
You mentioned required fields in the task pane. I know, and again, this might be fixed in 2018, so that might just be a 2018 thing, and it's therefore fixed in 2019. But with 2017, the related fields, when it's a required field, allows the user to type whatever they want to. Is that fixed in the task pane for 2018,
Define
2019?
fixed. No, no. So that there is now the ability to use the required fields, the related fields in there. Using required fields as related fields, as extracted fields, these are all three different things, and they can play well together. But as you know, we ended up taking away that ability when we said if it's related and it's required, you've got to pick from the list. We have added back in an option for administrators to allow people to type in whatever they want in a related field.
I can turn that on and off?
You can turn that on and off as an administrator. It's across the board. So it's either allowing it or not allowing it. Yep. Good question. Yes?
Earlier you mentioned the virtual library. How does that differ from the work area?
So the work area is where you check out files that you're going to edit. And the virtual library is really all the supporting documents that it needs to be able to open up completely.
Okay, so when I grab a drawing from within the task pane, it does pull that drawing to my work area, but then the relateds only go to the virtual?
Correct.
Okay.
If your intention is to edit all of them, select all of them and check them all out to your work area. But if you have no intention of editing those X references, like a lot of our customers will have references files in the background that only Steve and Sandy are able to edit. Everybody else can reference those, but nobody else should be editing them. And it's important to look at where both of those are located. Obviously, local, more performance. Network, it's getting backed up every night. There's pluses and minuses to both. Yep. Okay.
Chris, does the virtual library update if the parent file is updated?
There's the virtual update if the parent update.
So it copies down a virtual copy, right?
So if I'm in the top level assembly, I've only got that checked out, and there's 10 parts in there. If I add a new part,
Well, you said if somebody could keep working on another drawing that Adept copies down a virtual copy. So if
Yep.
somebody finished working and checked that file back in, would your virtual library update?
not instantly, not live. So Joe's going to show you in his class the icons on the left-hand side. So in Adept, you've got the task pane integration. I know I'm going right side, left side. I think it's more like this. But on the left-hand side, we also have I just spaced out the menu name, ART, the Adept relationship tree. It shows you all of the parts that you have, and it shows color coding on which ones are currently being checked out by somebody else. You can even hover over it, and it'll tell you their name. So when they check it back in, you can say, I want to refresh, and there's a refresh button, and then you will see those changes occur. Yep, very good question.
I think I knew the answer to this. Sorry, Jim Tum, Diversified. The task pane uses a full desktop license, not a web license?
The new one, it uses a web license. Actually, I'm sorry, it uses the desktop license, but it's also using web abilities.
Thanks.
Yep. So you can use both. For those that want to have the desktop and the task pane still open, you can do both. And it's only one license, yep. Yep.
As long as you're logged into the same user.
Good qualification, yep. All right, yes.
Bernardo with Vivonic. Is task pane for AutoCAD an all or none when it comes to users? Do you turn it on for everybody, or can users, choose to use it or not to use it?
Yeah, good question. So it's not required. If you've got a group of people using it, it would be good if everybody is using it, because then everybody can help each other if they have questions, that type of thing. But we definitely have some customers that have somebody that's less likely to lean in towards change. They might want to just stay with the no integration, and they can do so. Yep. All right. Very good. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Chris.